Well, her television career has spanned over 3 decades as a Black female news reporter anchor, and then the first Black woman in Canada to co-host a national morning show. In her new book, Off Script, Marci Ien shares personal milestones, tales of resilience and kindness, and finding the courage to use her voice for what matters most. And full disclosure, I love this woman. She's a friend of mine, so I'm so happy we can celebrate her today. Marce, you wrote in the book, as a Black female news anchor and later the first Black woman in Canada to co-host a morning news show, I've never felt I had a lot of room for error. How did that feed into your everyday psyche at work?
Listen, Tracy, it was an honor to sit in that chair, but with that chair came great responsibility, and I knew it. And it really wasn't my executive producers or a director that said, "You've got to be better. You've got to make sure you're well researched." It wasn't anything like that. It was something inside of me that said, "You have got to be better. You've got to prove that you're not a token. You've got to make sure that you are leaving space because of the job you did for people to come after you."
People are going to love how honest you are in this book, and you get into everything, including your marriage. You're incredibly open about that, and you found yourself questioning the strength of your marriage. How much of this exploration, I wonder, and the subsequent separation had to do with timing? Because all of a sudden you were out of that morning treadmill, frenetic, news cycle, and you had some space and time in the lifestyle world. Do you accredit that to having sort of some free time to start evaluating things?
Yes, I do. It's funny, Trace, because my dad said to me after Canada AM ended, "What if all of this happened just for you?" And I thought, "You're my dad. Of course you're going to say something positive like that." But then I thought about it and I thought, this is the first time in a long time where I can actually just breathe, that I'm not on this schedule of, laying clothes out the night before, getting lunches done the night before, making sure, kids' clothes are laid out, making sure that, everything that I need done is done. Doing my research, the homework, I can actually breathe. And when AM ended, I actually took some time. I went away by myself just to kind of look at my life and analyze where I was and what I wanted to do and what I didn't want to do. So yes, with AM ending, I did take the time to evaluate every aspect of my life, including my marriage.
Now, going from news anchor to lifestyle host is something that I can, or talk show host is something I can relate to, and it's a very different experience. So I'm wondering, what did you find the most challenging about that transition, Marce?
What happened was that I went from telling the stories of others, asking people what had happened to them, what the challenges they were facing were, who they were, to sharing stories of myself. Who am I? What do I want in life? What have I been through? What kind of trauma have I been through? And that takes vulnerability. That wasn't easy. It took a while. It really did. I remember at the beginning of doing the social, some people wrote and said, "You're a little quiet. Speak up a little more." And I guess I was listening and I was getting the lay of the land. But once I started speaking, they couldn't shut me up, and I became known as the oversharer.
It takes a lot of courage. And it took a lot of courage for you to do this next thing we're about to talk about. You got pulled over by a cop on your street at your house. You felt scared, and you wrote about it, and people lost their minds. I remember connecting with you about this because it's not like I was surprised by the reactions, but I was upset by it. I'm wondering, what would you like folks to know about that incident?
So the incident that you're talking about, Trace, I was stopped in my driveway, and the officer that pulled me over, after asking me whether my vehicle was my vehicle and my house was my house, said that I had failed to stop at a stop sign way back. And I said, "If that's the case, give me a ticket. If that's what I did, I'm fine. Give me a ticket." But I was scared, and this is what I was writing about and wrote about in the book, because there's trauma that we carry with us as Black people. And that's what I want people to understand. When you have seen Every man in your life, from your father to husband to boyfriend to best friend, pulled over when you have witnessed certain things, when you're a news reporter and you cover the Trayvon Martins of the world, there's a certain trauma that happens. There are layers of this trauma. And so a stop isn't just a stop. You carry all of that with you. And had that officer just explained, listen, this is why I'm stopping you, this is what happened right away, we probably would have had a completely different situation. And I think that in trying to explain why empathy needs to happen, explaining that trauma, that might be news to some people. Maybe some people might, treat this with more kindness instead of the vitriol that I got thrown at me. You're a race baiter. What's wrong with you? You broke the law. What's your problem? It had nothing to do with race. It had everything to do with race and the trauma that we carry and the stop itself.
Listen, we're so proud of you because now, of course, you are representing Toronto Centre as an MP. I'm wondering, is there anything that scares you about this journey, Mars?
No, it is the first job really where I thought this is something I want to do. It wasn't something I fell into. It wasn't something, that I was promoted to. It was just, I really want this. So all of the things we talked about, the harassment online, the hate that came my way. Police officers have had to come to my house because, people have threatened me. So I feel like that is preparation. I feel that I'm fully prepared. I see all of the experiences before as preparing me for a moment such as this, and a moment that I am meeting head on and going to work so hard for the people that I represent. I really feel this is where I'm meant to be. I feel great peace with this decision.
That's amazing. Marci Ien, keep going. Thank you so much for writing off script. Everyone should get it. It's an inspiration. You take care, and you and I will be in touch. Thanks, Mars.
Thanks so much, Trace. Good to see you.
You too.